This conference will now be recorded. This conference will now be recorded.
All right. I'll look to my folks here in the room with us to remind me to turn that off when we're done. I often forget that part, or even doing Zooms from home, I just leave it open like, wait, no, got to turn that off. So anyway, welcome everybody. This is the March 30th, 2026 meeting of Belchertown's Opioid Settlement Funds Advisory Committee. We do have several members here as well as guests, and Lauren guest virtually here. So we've got some bodies in town hall as well as Lauren joining us virtually. Maybe we just do a quick round of introduction so anybody watching this video, if they're so inclined, will know who we are. I'm Gail Grammarosa. My spot on this committee is as the community member, and I'm currently serving as the chair. So
I'm Jill Rossi. I am the town accountant. I am the financial member.
Great.
I'm Dave Gotsagan, Dr. Dave Gotsagan. I'm the member from the Board of Health.
Angela Battle, I am the boat representative.
Great. Can you just tell us what BOAT stands for as well? Because my husband was saying recently, I don't know what that stands for. What does it stand for?
Belchertown Overcoming Adversity Together.
Beautiful. Great. Thank you. Our another town committee and doing active prevention work here in town. So welcome. Guests in the audience, introduce.
Hi, I'm Maureen Babineau. I'm the Director of Program Development for the consortium. But here today on behalf of the Recovery Center of Hope. Happy to be here in person.
Great.
I'm Emma Berthium. I'm the epidemiologist for the Quebec Hill Substance Use Alliance out of the town of Ware, but serving 18 communities. And the video is off.
Oh. Thank you. Oh, sorry, Lauren, if you were only hearing us and not seeing us. Sorry about that.
That's okay. I didn't want to interrupt, but just wanted y'all to know.
No, thank you. Sorry about that. As much as we do this every month, like my technology, I have to be reminded every time. So thank you, Emma, for reminding me. Anything else you wanted to add? No, you're good. Great. All right, Lauren, you want to say hello?
Sure.
And then it looks like Emily's here, so we'll have Emily introduce herself too.
Awesome. Good morning, folks. Lauren Kelly, she, her, coordinator for the Hampshire Hope Coalition.
Great. Welcome. Glad you could join us.
Hi, everyone. I'm Emily Kirby. I'm the Director of Prevention and Community Health for the town of Ware, and I'm here as the Quebec Hill Substance Use Alliance seat. I'm sorry I'm late.
Oh, no worries. We're getting ourselves organized on a Monday morning here. So, all right, we got everybody here. Videos on, recordings on. There's agendas nearby if you need one. Great.
Have these microphones always been here?
I think so. These are mostly for the when BCTV does it, but I don't know whether
These actually are newer
versions. Yeah.
I mean, not brand new, but pretty new. So yes,
Saw that.
they look really weird
Yeah, I was just like, huh.
because
I know, and they're kind of sticky, right? You know, they're like
yeah, they're screwed in.
screwed into there, so I guess they're kind of permanent. But anyway, so yeah, sometimes you get distracted by looking at them, but anyway. Okay, in terms of our agenda today, we've got our usual, just a list of some brief updates about projects and work that's going on. And then I think at our last meeting, we also agreed that we wanted to spend some time, diving back in. We haven't totally left the pool, but diving back in a little bit more deeply around this whole family support program, post-overdose death program and resources, and that Halo model that we talked to folks from Boston a ways ago. But this idea that we still want to look at this as a possible way for Belchertown to and us to recommend that we embark on that. So as resources and support financially and otherwise for people who've experienced an overdose death and a loss of a loved one. So we'll spend some time talking about that. And then we'll pick our next meeting date for what will hopefully be the lovely month of April and spring. And we'll go from there. Sound good? All right, sounds good. So in terms of our updates, just wondering if the subcommittee met between earlier this month and this meeting? And if so, any updates from the subcommittee?
We have not met
Okay,
in between this last few weeks.
no
So
worries.
we have talked about, we have gathered information from the HALO program. And there actually has been more done that Chris has done. So, and you looked into something, Emma.
Well, we went to Gail and I were at the thing, Hampshire Hopes thing with North Attleboro.
Okay.
That was a different model than I
Okay.
expected it to be. So that was interesting, and I was gonna chat with Palmer a little bit, but we haven't met yet.
Okay,
So
Okay.
Palmer meets quarterly now.
Okay.
okay. All right, no worries. That's all good to know. Also just recognizing too, with some weather last month, this is like our second meeting in the month of March. So it was only a few weeks ago that this group met because of our late February meeting, getting kind of snowed out. So no worries. You all think about it, as the subcommittee, if they want to meet, certainly empowered to do that. You also can, just as a subcommittee, as long as you don't have 4 members of the full committee, you can do a lot by email as well. You can just converse and, chat or whatever, or share information, and then think about, what might make sense to bring to this group as an interim thing in between these full monthly meetings here. Great. All right, just a really quick update. Everybody knows in the municipality world, this is a super busy time of the year. So we're fortunate though that this committee to present the most recent Honest Beginnings application that we supported and voted in favor of with respect to some work on their basement, as well as looking at updating the select board on the RISE Mosaic grant that we'll talk about in a minute. We're on the agenda for April 6th. So that's a week from today, right? So this coming Monday, we will have a slot on the select board agenda. Typically, when we present them an application, they've been very open to just taking a vote that night. So I am hoping that they will take a vote and that they will support the Honest Beginnings application as we recommended they do. And then we can go forward and let that work begin. I know Honest Beginnings has a plan and they're ready to do it. And then getting those funds will help them achieve that. So that's where we're at. So a week from today, if anybody wants to join virtually, obviously select board meetings are open like this one is to the public. I'll be here in person, but feel free to sign on for Monday, April 6th, or come in person if you are interested in doing that. Great. Any questions on any of that? I was just talking with, actually, just to make a note, there was a meeting in here before we arrived, and one of the members of that meeting was the town manager. We had thought about, remember when we supported the peer teen leaders from Belchertown schools, the helping hands, right? The students, those peer educators to go to the conference last month. They were potentially going to be on this April 6th agenda, but we might move them to a future agenda. So I'll talk to Aileen maybe about that, but that's just another piece of when we funded them, when the select board approved the cost for everybody to go to that conference down outside of Washington, DC. Angela, you went too, right? Did you? No, you didn't.
Not this one.
That's right. You've been to past ones, but anyway. So we'll get them in front of the select board. That was just part of what the select board requested when they approved the funding to have those adults and students go to that conference. But may not be the April 6th meeting. All right. I know we've got Maureen here and Emily from Town Aware, actively involved with the RISE Mosaic Matching Municipal Funds Grant. So any updates there?
I mean, I can go. I'm working on a subcontract between the town of Ware and the Western Mass Consortium currently, and I just jotted down a note because I'm sure RISE has template subcontracts for between towns So I'm going to contact them after this and see if they have one so that we can get one between Belchertown and Ware so that they can deposit the money to Ware.
Great.
Okay.
Sounds good. Excellent. So yeah, and Jill, does your office and the town manager want to take a look at those subcontracts before anything gets signed? Is that the select
Yes.
board who has to sign it or town
Probably the
manager?
town manager will
Okay.
sign it, but
Great.
we should review it.
Review it. Excellent. Great. Sounds good. Just to remind everybody, this is the matching grant from RISE, the folks out in the eastern part of the state. Belchertown kicking in $50,000, Ware kicking in $50,000, RISE kicking in $100,000. Any other updates?
I mean, I'll just add to it, and right, we're Emily's facilitating the subcontract, and then simultaneously, I just want to note that we're meeting virtually, pretty much weekly in discussion, even though we haven't had the contract yet, and we're talking about, you know, drafting up the MOU between, across both towns with the Recovery Center of Hope / consortium, but myself, Julie, Gail, and Emily are meeting weekly, and we did start, you know, we started putting the office together, the space together, over at Recovery Center of Hope. There'll be shared time between here and there. So we're moving, the steps forward that we can as we anticipate signing the contract and being able to move forward on posting a job.
Excellent.
But you'll,
Yeah.
more updates on the subcontract and the MOU that Gail will share as well.
Yeah,
Reviewed.
exactly. I anticipate, thank you, Maureen. I think that's great. And yeah, all the steps just to get things rolling. So yeah, the subcontract with the financial side of it, and then the memo of understanding between the three key partners. I expect that I want this committee to take a look at the MOU just to be sure we're thinking about all of that. I think also this committee ultimately, so once we have that, then we'll be starting to think about, remember, this is going to fund a full-time position, thinking about what the role of that person is. I'm probably going to ask this group to think, you know, take an eyeball at maybe the job description, any questions that the select board has. Remember, we also, all three groups kind of committed to, as much as we can, equal access to this person for both Belchertown and Ware. Obviously they'll spend time at the Ware Recovery Center. And then I think maybe this group and maybe others in town can be helpful with us thinking about where would they be situated in Belchertown, what kind of space. We were just talking about how space is at a premium in the town, especially municipal space, but thinking about where might be an appropriate spot. That if they're spending half their time in each of the two towns, where would be a good spot for them? What's going to give them, you know, what they need, space-wise, workspace-wise. They're going to be fairly portable. They're going to have a laptop, right? There's a laptop in the budget and whatnot, but want them to have a comfortable space and privacy, particularly because they're likely to be meeting one-on-one with individuals who need some help with housing and care coordination there. So I guess I'd ask this group, we're not there just yet. There's no person in the job just yet, but start thinking about places in town that might be feasible and doable. Also, just to remind ourselves too, that when we presented this to the select board, we did leave open the option that we might come back to them for maybe a little bit more money if we needed to, if the ideal space would be better, we would be able to get space for someone if we had to pay a little bit for it. So the ideal would be to find free space. The town's already contributing money to the project, but they were okay with leaving open if we had to. Like I said, we'll look, the first choice is a free space that they can use. And that would be comfortable for the role that they're going to fulfill. Any questions on any of that? Okay, moving along with RISE matching grant. Happy to have that. Next on our agenda, just to check in. We've been checking in on this to remind ourselves that what we had been calling kind of the community wellness or community resource program that had a number of meetings over at the libraries, kind of on pause at the moment. Remember that the Quabbin Health District Public Health Nurse was very involved in this. That position is still officially vacant, but Dave and I are both on the Board of Health. They were going to be interviewing some people last week. So they're at the stage of interviewing applicants for the public health nurse job, which I think may have some relevance for, for this program in the library. And if it, gets back up and running. Any other updates on any of that? Community wellness? Okay, cool. All right, let's try to get to some of these quickly and then we can dive into the family support program. Any updates at all from BOAT or the Drug-Free Communities Grant or Honest Beginnings? Currently both being funded. Any updates? I don't necessarily have any. No, everything's humming along. They went to the conference last month under Drug-Free and BOAT. Honest Beginnings, just waiting to hear about their basement application. All right. If nothing.
And they're on their last quarter. We're doing quarterly for fees. Their last quarterly payment will be, it might be May 1st.
Okay. All
I
right.
have to look at the last payment.
Okay.
But
great. So maybe one thing we might want to think about is maybe shortly after that payment, thinking about just getting some feedback from them, how to go, as well as would it be helpful for them to reapply for another, they initially got a year's worth of funding, right? A 12-month cycle of funding. So be happy to maybe have them, if they can come in, maybe virtually or in person, but just for them to think about whether or not they would reapply. Remember, this helps with the fees and other expenses for new enrollees at the program.
Which would be great if they didn't really need to reapply, because that would mean that there was actually retention in the house instead of a lot of turnover. Right. So yeah, good point. And, they certainly could look to apply in a similar way as they did, but if now after a year's worth, this was a new effort, right? After a year's worth of experience with it, maybe they've learned, other, do those expenses, are they still a high need? What did they learn that might make it a different? Right, exactly. So they, I look to them and their team to think about, how did it work? And what else, what might be going forward, what might be another way that they could look at other funding, this kind of funding for other things. Right. And, in terms of, like you said, they acknowledge that there would be the turnover, but are there things that could be supported by these dollars that might minimize that or have an impact on it and help with retention? So, take a look at that. Great. Okay, just really quickly, and I think I sent everybody the overview of this. Another settlement coming at a national level, coming down the pike. This one has an interesting name, the 6 remnant defendants. And the handout that I sent with our agenda email lists them. So there's a bunch of different, mostly distributors of opioids, it looks like, in this settlement. A couple of things that are a little different. None of this money's going to the state. This is all going right to what they call the subdivisions or like municipalities, like our town. So no need for the state to take a chunk, not going through the Attorney General. And from what I gather, if I read it right, I think it's a one-time payment is what we're getting. I'd have to double check on that, but I thought it was when I looked at something, but we'll double check on it. Town has until early May to sign on. Town manager and town accountant are all.
I think they already did.
Okay, great. I know that both you and town manager are really good at just anything that comes, to your email gets sent my way. So
whatever the terms are of the settlement, whatever the dollar amounts are, happy to have yet one more coming in. And we're still waiting to hear about the probably larger Purdue settlement, but rumor has it in some of this communication about this new six remnants. One of the legal firms said, that it probably would be later this year, maybe really late this year with Purdue. It sounds like there's still a bunch of legal stuff to iron out, but Purdue coming, but I'd like it to come sooner, but it sounds like it might be toward the end of the calendar year. So we can't move the legal eagles any faster than they can go with respect to all they've got to do. So go from there.
So I assume the $97 million, according to your document you sent, is split among states and then towns according to population.
Yes, they're gonna use a similar formula that has been used before, but take the state out of the equation. So that's actually better for municipalities. Our current, what does our state take? Our state 60, is it 60% goes to, right, and then the 40% is for towns. So this one, states are out of the picture. The terms of that agreement is just go right to the municipalities. So
it looks like Belchertown's, it's a very long document. It
I know,
says
with
0.00886% of the total will be going to,
okay,
and Ware's gonna get 0.0052%.
okay. Out of that 90, what did you say, Dave? 97 million?
97 million and change.
0.0086.
That can't be right.
That's what it says on their little.
Out of, with 97 million as the figure? Anyway.
That's a lot of money. 0.0086.
National allocation percent.
Okay, I think I missed a zero. That would be like $83,000.
Yeah, that sounds
About right? Does that sound about right? Okay, Jill
Yeah,
said,
I
okay,
missed a zero
all right.
the first time. It was like $800,000.
No. I know. That would be nice, right? I know. All right, so it sounds like, and again, write to us and we'll get more information. And like you said, Jill, sounds like the town maybe is already signed on.
I believe
or close
so.
to it. Got plenty of time.
I couldn't find it in my email.
All right,
but yes.
no worries.
Did you say 30? 0.000?
0.0086 is what it said.
Is that percent or?
Yeah, percent.
Yeah, of the 97 million, right, okay. All right, well, hey, whatever, 83,000 would be good. Hey, even 8,000, whatever it is.
Give us.
Money is money, right? Right. And, bringing those distributors to, be held accountable for what they did as well. So, good, all right. Well, keep everybody posted. And again, how quickly the town may see the money all depends on, obviously, the first step is for all the municipalities to sign on. And then they'll know how much they've got to divvy up and use those formulas that have been used before. All right, just wanted to quickly check in, anything on the website, the committee's webpage on the town website? No, that's okay, just say no, it's no big deal. This is about the busiest time of a municipality ever. And according to the headlines, every municipality is just overwhelmed these days with financial issues. So the website is still there and people can find it. We're good.
We know it's there.
We know it's there, and maybe, over the summer, we take a closer look and we can figure out if we want to update and do whatever. Great. Lauren, while we have you here, just wanted to make sure I've got the mic open, to see if you had any updates on Hampshire Hope. You've been busy as well with the listening session as well as the lunch and learn. So
yeah, thanks, Gail. Just I guess an update for those. We had some folks from Belchertown and other surrounding areas participate in a regional listening session with folks from Massachusetts Department of Health and BSAS to really help inform not only local efforts around opioid settlement funds, but also informing state spending based off of the needs within Western Mass. They've I think met with 3 out of the 4 and are set to meet with all 4 of the counties in Western Mass. So they met with Hampshire County, a couple weeks ago, hosted with Northampton. We also, as a part of our Lunch and Learn series, as Gail mentioned, got to host both Belchertown as well as Ware, along with Springfield and then North Attleboro in Eastern Mass, to highlight some of the great models around the mini grant program that you all have and what some other communities are doing to be able to have that be an example for other municipalities in the area. So a big thank you to Gail for representing Belchertown. Also, shout out to Emma, who I know is in the room, who represented Palmer. And so we also, for our regional, we have our monthly regional settlement fund meetings with different municipalities across the region. And this upcoming meeting in April, we have Cheryl Sabara from the Massachusetts Association for Health Boards to talk about regionalization strategies and opportunities around settlement funds. So that'll be, I think, eye-opening to hear from her. I know that's something that different communities in the area have been expressing. So I think that'll be helpful to connect with her. So I think those are some updates on the regional level. Thanks, Gail.
Great. Sounds good. Any comments, questions, or anything for Lauren? No, great. I appreciated hearing from the person from North Attleboro, and also the written document. And maybe I can, if I haven't shared that with the group, I can send it around. Just gives you an idea of how they have looked at various ways to spend money, both that some of it for individuals, so that'll transition us to the support fund, but also to organizations in their community. And they have a person who's based in their health department who kind of navigates all of that and works with the town to spend their money and allocate it. So I'll send that. I'll make a note, but always interesting to me to see how other communities are doing it. Great. Okay, so yeah, I guess now we're at the sort of more open discussion part of the meeting to kind of dive back into this family overdose support fund.
Can I just bring up the crisis intervention team?
Sure, by all means do.
Sergeant Lozier reached out, and the funding for the crisis intervention team, which is Belchertown, Granby, and South Hadley, is on the bubble. It's in question. And there may be, I just wanted to give you a heads up that there may be a request that might have to come or might come to us with regard to funding, some sort of funding for that. I don't have all the details at this time. I'm just planting a seed.
Okay, great. I'm sorry to hear that. Is it state and federal funding? I don't know the source of it, whatever it is, it's on the bubble. Yeah.
Yeah, I don't recall what that is. Too many things.
I know. And it's hard to keep track of it all because both at the public funding level, even at the private funding level, things are just, they're shifting a lot. And, and more organizations, I think, are potentially losing money, meaning everybody's applying for everything, right? State level. Emily, I think you were saying that.
Still haven't heard back from DMH.
Right, that our own state Department of Mental Health had to work with another state agency, right?
It's taken people from DSAS to help review all of the grant applications.
Just to review all the grant applications. So that shows you.
Yeah. This grant was supposed to start at the beginning of the year.
Yeah, it was like February 1, right?
Yeah.
Was it February 1 as a start date?
Yeah.
Right, and
been
nobody's
pushed back 3
heard,
times.
right? So that gives you an idea of the competitiveness of any money that's out there. And I imagine, lots of places are having to look at not only opioid funds, but anything else. So, well, I'll make a note of that. Thank you, Jill, for planting the seed. And then maybe at a future meeting, Neil can talk more about the crisis intervention team, what they're seeing and hearing these days, what's happening in the community, and then whether, how this might be feasible for them to apply and think about, given what they're doing. Obviously, even with some of the data that Neil shared with us at our previous meeting, calls related to overdose, substance use, mental health. I mean, those are still present pretty much on a daily basis in our town, like most other towns. So it's really important work that's happening. Okay. Family Overdose Support Fund. Yeah, I just kind of wanted to throw it open, see where people were at with their thinking. Is it something we're still interested in? What next steps might we take? Where is everybody with potentially moving forward with this?
I guess I'm just thinking about, Boston uses Boston Bullpen, which administers the funds.
Yep.
So if the town were to administer the specific funds, it would take at least a 10-day turnaround. And that's if the timing, like the stars align perfectly.
Yep.
And that's just, it's too long by the
Yep.
time that the committee talks about it and
Yep.
so on and so forth. So I think that is kind of a key piece of the puzzle, I guess, the key piece of the puzzle that we probably need to do that. Find someone, a financial
Yep.
company
Yep.
or situation will administer so that people aren't waiting for weeks.
Yeah.
We had
Other
talked
thoughts?
with
Yep.
Brendan back in January
Is it?
now, so this is reaching a little bit back in my head, but where they were going to sort of become their own entity that
Oh,
would
yes.
maybe be able to do some of that themselves for municipalities.
Right.
And the offerings Brendan discussed also went beyond like post-overdose
Right.
family support. He was
Right.
talking about sort of broadening their umbrella
Right.
as well, about what sort of direct services they might be able to support municipalities in providing to their residents.
Right. Yeah, and I'll pass it around if folks need to take a look, but yeah, they had talked about their funeral expenses, behavioral health services, what they call child wellness. This is for children who lose a parent, guardian, or sibling to overdose, and then some legal fees as well that they would, be able to, that would be the kinds of things that they would cover, with that $5,000 limit that they have put in there. So anyway, I can hand this around if people want a refresher on it. Other thoughts about the, working with a group like Halo? I think I agree that seems like it's really important to not have the administration of that have to fall to.
It also is like, speaks to anonymity.
True.
If we were to do it direct, I mean, that's all public information, what the town pays out. So I don't think we want, I mean, I know we don't want that. That is not okay.
You don't want to have access to that information
Correct.
and have checks cut to, I hear you. Yeah.
Just allocate a chunk to Halo. or
Right,
whatever.
right.
They do what they do, and all anyone sees on our end is
I just gave it to.
Halo. Yeah.
Right,
they do
right,
this.
exactly. And then they can report back, and as I know they do, and I'm guessing that, their application form that, they would obviously work with us on, provides the information that they can report back, this is how the money was spent and here's where, in a place like Boston, they're also looking at which neighborhood, that kind of thing, where people are, and what of their categories where the money was dedicated to. So I'm kind of hearing that working with Halo seems like a key piece of it, that we would want that to happen. What are people's thoughts about the range of what you could use the money for?
I like it.
Yeah?
I think it's a good idea because I mean, if they have some sort of other payment, like some sort of life insurance or something like that, that pays for the funeral,
Right.
but they want to send their kid to therapy or like to a bereavement camp or something like
Right.
that, and they don't have the money for that, this could step in and really help out the family.
And where with children involved, there can be legal
Right.
entanglements to
Right.
get that straightened
Exactly.
out, which
Right.
is really key.
Right. And I think, do I remember right too, that when the two folks from Halo were here, they initially started with funeral, but then some of these other categories were clearly needs that people had too. So I kind of like the idea of that level of flexibility. And again, with Halo at the moment, their cap is that 5,000, but within those categories you can apply. Yep.
And it appears as though, in my recollection, is that they will pay directly the service.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
Provider.
Right. So maybe from our perspective, we would just maybe help them with identifying who those providers might be, along with, a family that might take advantage of this once it's up and running. Where might they look to get their services, and then how does that connection? I think on their application form, they do ask for the funeral services provider or other provider. So that we would, they'd have the option to look at maybe a provider they're already connected with, if it's that child wellness or other behavioral health services. Any thoughts about the amount? Sorry, go ahead.
Yeah, that's what I was gonna ask. What kind of amount? Sounds like it'd be large amounts. We're talking about funeral and legal and.
It's a good question. Like I said,
Halo does 5,000.
Halo does 5,000
Per family.
per family, right?
Yeah. And how much do we have in the settlement fund?
Oh, I know. What's our current balance? I know I had that piece of paper. Hold on.
Probably the one file item here.
I have a note, and correct me if I'm wrong, Joe, if we've spent more. I had a note as of February with, remember, we've got Honest Beginnings currently still funded, drug-free communities still funded, a little over 148,000 as of February, but that might not include, the quarterly payment for Honest Beginnings is the 7,200, but you said they're coming
It does.
up. It does.
Just all of the encumbered money is included in that.
Perfect.
So it sits where, in a checking account or?
It is in a town account.
Okay.
Separated from everything else so that it
Right.
can't be tapped into for anything
Right.
but the purposes of this.
There's never been any thought of them. That's just a wild idea. I just say that because one of my sons-in-law is into investment for nonprofits, largely. Never thoughts of investing that into like a trust that would just keep on growing even as we kept on taking.
It
Because
is.
eventually it'll
It
run
is not something that we could do under the law.
out. Just throwing that out there.
Yeah,
Mhm.
no,
No, I
it's-
agree.
Seriously good.
Then it would
Yeah, that I know, right?
Right.
to grow
Right.
like
right.
trusts do.
Like trusts or other investments. Yep. No,
Yeah.
I hear that.
Financial law in Massachusetts is very prescriptive,
Mhm.
and that is not one of the things that they make exceptions for
Yeah,
at this
like a
time anyway.
401k or,
Yeah.
okay.
Also, just to note too, as you said, Jill, too, that the RISE money is already encumbered as well. So that 50,000 is squared away. Maureen, did you have a thought?
I just have a question about Halo, which you may or may not know, 'cause and I love the idea, because I think it's such a great use of this money. How does Halo, how do they identify the families that do need that resources? Do they have a court, like, how does that happen? Maybe you don't know yet.
They were like, tapped into a whole bunch of organizations.
Organizations.
They were partnered with, including Boston PD, but also like funeral homes and other organizations that sort of like identify families for them and sort of connect them.
Yeah.
So any of those entities, like if you knew.
Right, if you
someone,
knew someone,
Right.
right.
The name and like, I don't kind of a hand up, but then not be involved with one. Yeah.
Right.
Okay.
And I think you raise a good point. I would imagine that, you know, if and when we get that set up, if we're working with HALO, we've got the criteria, then it would help for us locally to let key partners know that this is available. So then, like you said, somebody, you know, encountering someone, so, you know, Sergeant Lozier and his colleagues are involved and know there's been an overdose death, you know, in the community. Or, you know, a family and a residence, you know, being affected, to then let them know. And my guess would be, and maybe we, you know, work with a group like HALO, you know, what kinds of outreach materials might we have and what they have already? You know, could somebody hand a card? Could a recovery coach hand a card to someone? Oh, do you know about this support fund? You know, kind of thing. Here's how to find out, you know, there's financial support available. But yeah, we'd have to let people know.
I was thinking about what Emily said too. They might, you know, may not be identified through a funeral because they might have that resource, but
Right.
the ongoing support
Right.
is a place where it may, people may not be as aware of the need.
Right.
I just found the budget thing.
Oh,
Back in my
okay.
notebook, it says current unreserved balance is $213,269.
Okay.
But we added.
But we did add in the RISE grant, right?
I think Rise is already on here.
Oh, was it?
Maybe not.
Sorry.
Oh, no worries.
No, I don't see. We had the CADCA. Oh, we do have the RISE grant, but you wrote that in.
Yeah, I wrote
Yeah,
it in
yeah.
RISE, just because my other copy.
So you updated,
Right.
your copy is updated.
Okay.
Yeah, so the 148
148.
should be correct
Okay.
as for available funds, and we still have money coming in. of
Right, we
course.
still have money
Mhm.
coming in, right, more money will come in. You know, and it may be, it's hard to know, you know, if we look at those categories, maybe, like I said, more conversation with HALO. Could be the kind of thing we set aside X amount of dollars, promote it, see how, if people tap into it, with the idea, then you just add to it. You know, if you start out with X amount of dollars, if you go with that $5,000 limit or whatever limit, you know, we feel comfortable with. And then, you know, see how it goes. It might be the kind of thing too. I hope that there would not be overwhelming numbers of overdose deaths in the, you know, community and folks in town who are having to cope with that. But some of those other categories too are more ongoing kinds of things, the wellness and the behavioral health, the legal fees, like you said.
One of the things that HALO does is you can go back up to 2 years, so that would also be a decision for them. Is how far back do you want to go?
Good point,
Does there have to be a decision point?
right, good point, right.
Thanks for that. I was thinking about that.
Yeah, that is a good point. Thank you, Emma. Yeah, and because some of those kinds of expenses can still be expenses 2 years, you know, if it's post overdose death, obviously. Yep.
Does anyone know the rate of overdose death in Belchertown?
No.
I don't, but I know that, you know, just some information that Neil shared at the last meeting from the beginning of this year, there was a death. But also Neil had said that it was someone that they had responded to on numerous occasions, but it was a prescription related. He said potentially as well, not yet finalized, but potentially a suicide. Yeah.
So I think, I mean, this is opioid abatement funds, so it
Right.
would be opioid overdoses.
Right,
I don't know if we would
Right.
be able to include other substances.
Right.
I mean, polysubstance use, obviously, as long as there's opioids there, so.
right, as long as there's, right, exactly, right. Right, and as, you know, as we were talking earlier about the crisis intervention team and just what our public safety people have to respond to, obviously, there's huge amounts of alcohol use in the community, but I think you're right. If we're looking at funeral expenses, you know, this would need to be focused in on opioid use as a piece of that.
It sounds like we can really use opioid funds for specifically like alcohol.
I don't believe so, no.
Yeah, I would,
Halo does actually get death certificates.
right,
Yeah.
To
right,
certify.
to certified, right, exactly. And again, all of those, yeah,
Long, it's
I thought it's a long process, right?
process, yes. At least out here, I don't know if it's quicker
Out in the
It's
Boston area.
area.
It seemed to me because they had established relationships.
I know, maybe
with the,
that's what
like,
it
records
is, yeah.
Mm,
people.
Mhm.
It's definitely a long process here.
Yeah, that might be something to
Right,
Right.
discuss.
to discuss with them, right?
How can we
Right.
circumvent
Yeah.
that need or?
I know, right,
Expedite
right.
it.
How could you expedite that, right?
It's a rule they created, so
Mhm.
if it's Belchertown's program, Belchertown presumably has its own rules to
Yeah.
some degree.
Right,
Yeah.
think about, right? And again, all of those kinds of administrative tasks with confirmation and under, you know, getting, like, you know, you look at their application, it's pretty extensive, but contracting with them just makes all that much easier. And then, like you said, payment goes right there. You know, I would like to hope that maybe, I know that some of these kinds of providers, you know, their budgets and their margins are tight, but, you know, good relationships with funeral homes, you know, the money is coming. That, you know, please don't send a bill to the family. It may take a little bit of time
Right.
to get you your money, but we can, you know, we hopefully can, you know, confirm that the money's coming for that. And the same with legal fees. I know everybody needs to get paid, but. Other thoughts about, I mean, you know, again, we don't have to make any final decisions today. It sounds like there's still support for this.
Mhm.
Any thought about, you know, what might be a reasonable amount to sort of start off with, to set aside?
In my mind, it's 25 to 50,000
Okay.
because we meet monthly. So
Right.
if suddenly, you know, we have 4 people
Right. Mhm.
who are eligible and get payouts, we can replenish.
Yep.
And what we would need to do, I think, with the board is have an ongoing ability to do it directly, you
Yep.
know, to pay it directly without having to have a time with them.
Right. No, I
On
agree.
their
Right. Set,
agenda.
Right, exactly. Set
Set it as
something, right. Right.
you know, an ongoing approval.
Right. Exactly.
Mhm.
That they approve the idea of the set aside of X amount of
Yes.
dollars and then.
And then
it
as it
happens, right.
diminishes.
Right.
We have the power to
Right,
do that.
so
without having
rather
go
than
through
have to,
that.
Correct.
right, not,
Maybe they can approve up to a certain amount and you can just keep replenishing.
Yeah.
From that.
yeah, for that first chunk.
The problem with that larger amount is that's a good percentage of what we got. We have you set up to 200,000 and we can't, you know, it's not gonna grow at all, basically no interest. So that's a quarter of all the opioid
Mhm.
funds, 50,000.
Mhm.
25,000 would be, you know, 12% or something. It seems like, it's just looking at all the other needs, you know,
Right.
direct support for folks with drug.
I mean, we do get a
Well,
payment each year.
You get a
Right,
payment each
payments
year
each
with the
year.
new fiscal year,
Yeah,
right?
each
Yeah.
fiscal year you get, but the amount does diminish.
It does
Right.
diminish.
Should diminish over time.
Yeah.
It'll run out. And then a way to replenish. So
Right, no, I
25
hear,
would be
yeah,
five.
I hear what you're saying.
25,000 would be 5 families, and we don't know.
If you had that 5,000, right, limit,
Yeah,
right,
yeah.
that would be
seems-
5.
Especially since it doesn't seem that I've heard of a lot of deaths
Mhm.
lately. I mean, I don't know about where, but I'm sure if you report it in the Sentinel or the Gazette, which I read regularly.
Well, and as we've noted too, there's the
Yeah.
possibility to increase that, so.
Yeah.
you know,
Right.
starting out with, but I think that range is a good one to at least think about. And maybe Halo has some thoughts as well. What do they expect? You know, who else are they working with? And I don't know if any other community in our region has signed on with that. Lauren, do you have is anybody else in Western Mass looking at this or actively pursuing it?
Not that I know of, no.
Okay.
But that doesn't mean there isn't, but not that I'm aware of.
Okay, great. Just thinking.
This is something we're gonna discuss in Palmer.
Okay.
Because we discussed a version of it that involves a lot more administration from our committee directly, and it, for all of the reasons discussed, be ideal to have less administration from the committee.
Right.
So I expect this will be a topic of conversation, but we haven't
Okay,
discussed it yet.
great.
Halo specifically.
Right.
Family support, yes.
Right, right. Well, that's good to know. You know, it'd be great if if people all across the region could take advantage of this, the more communities maybe who think about this. You know, as with the Halo and the Boston-based program, you know, that is limited to residents of Boston. Are we expecting that this would be limited to residents of Belchertown?
Maybe to begin with.
The family, yeah, probably the family or the victim would be a Belchertown
Have a
resident.
Belchertown, yeah, be a,
I don't,
I know, how does Boston talk about it?
I think if their loved one passes away, if like the family's a Boston resident, if their loved one passes away in Lowell or somewhere else, they can still access. the
Right.
They can still
Right,
access
which
it,
is-
right, so, right.
I think that's what we, in my
Follow
mind, that's
that.
what we
Yep,
want,
that's
is
same.
to be able
Yep.
to help the families
Right.
here.
Right, supporting residents, yeah.
Just that will increase, that could increase the amount of people that are going to apply if we have it just the family here and not the person who passed away in Belchertown. Just, you know,
Right,
just
right.
thinking.
It could,
It could increase that number.
But isn't that what the point is?
right.
Yeah, no,
for me,
I
the
know.
family,
No,
yeah,
I agree.
right,
I agree. That's how I envision it too.
Yeah,
I'm just
yeah,
saying, that,
okay.
like, before when I asked about the overdose rates, that's gonna go up if you include
Right.
people that passed away outside of Belchertown.
Right, then people who, the people where the death occurred outside, and who may, I guess I'm comfortable with, it is family support program, so families here
Yeah.
and their loved one may have been elsewhere,
Mhm.
right?
Because a lot of times people leave their hometown to
I was
seek
gonna say
treatment.
that.
That's right,
Elsewhere is more likely
Leads
than
to-
not.
yeah.
Than not.
Yeah.
right, they're elsewhere, right, for a variety of reasons, but the support is, and I would imagine, you know, that to me fits with the objectives of these dollars as well as, you know, what the select board could support, because the benefit is directly to families.
And
Impacted.
Halo doesn't just use opioid abatement funds, right?
It's a good question. I think they have other
They
sources
have
of
other
money.
sources. So if we partner with them and bring them out here and use the opioid funds, if they find that it's worth it, it's not saying that we have to continue using opioid funds. This might just be more of like a pilot program to get them out here, them to sustain themselves out here, and then they might be able to find more funding on their own to sustain the project. You know, it's
I think a lot of their funds were Boston's opioid
Good.
settlement.
Opioid,
Yeah.
And
right?
I think they had received money from Rise as well,
Mhm.
which is 6-1.
Yeah. So
So I don't know. I'm not sure what that would look like.
yeah, it seems like they're thinking in the future, like that
Right.
they're starting to
Right.
because they're going to be a 501c3.
Right, I was gonna say,
something
they're
like that, so.
growing their
Yeah.
organization as well, and we have heard, and even when they were with us talking about, we're looking at going beyond just the greater Boston area. Great. I know it's getting a little bit after 11. I'm hearing that we're still interested in this idea. We want to look at, you know, we've got some thoughts about the range of money, you know, maybe following after Halo with a 5,000 limit, looking at those same categories. Is this feasible, I guess we should talk to Halo and figure out what might be a feasible timeframe. More money's coming into the town as of July 1. We've already talked about some of our current funded projects may have, and there might be some additional applications coming down the pike. Reasonable to think about this maybe by the end of the calendar year, that this would be in place. Give ourselves a bunch of months to figure it out. Is there that much support for it? Because I think we would then want to figure it into, you know, what's our bank account, so to speak? What does it look like as of, you know, as of the summer, early fall kind of a thing?
Yes.
Yeah.
I think that gives us plenty of time yet, not too much time, you
Okay.
know, like it'll keep us going.
Keep us going with it, right? And like I said, we're acknowledging that there may be some other applications coming in as well. And knowing too that I know our drug-free communities group is waiting to hear about federal funding. So we've got some things that we, you know, so I hear your point, Dave, too. We've got to keep our eye both on the programmatic as well as the monetary side of it.
Yeah.
Any other thoughts or suggestions? Anything that we should be making sure we think of early on? Anybody else we should consult with respect to getting this going?
I'm not sure anyone else is really doing this, so
Yeah.
it's kind of the.
Halos,
Well,
they're the ones, yeah, they're the group, yeah.
New thing, yeah.
I know, actually, I do think we would be pretty groundbreaking to get it to have something
Great.
like this out this way.
I mean, we could just, I don't know, the process, we can go ahead and approve it, right? Formally approve it. but-
Well, I'd rather have a more detailed plan that we approve and
More
then,
deep-
and then we
exactly.
bring it to the select board for their approval.
So they have to approve it.
Yes,
Right.
they have to
Okay.
approve it
Because,
all.
You know, I don't think we can expect any more federal funds. This administration and the Congress going along with them doesn't approve
I
anything
know,
that helps
I-
people or the environment or the world or the earth at all. I mean, they're not going to.
And
They just don't.
and I hear
Things
that,
destroy.
absolutely, you know, hear things with respect to substance use, mental health, you know, prevention, all of that this group, you know, might be looking at, and some of the programs that we've already funded and continue to fund,
Yeah.
you know, maybe facing some of those challenges as well. And then, like you said, Emily, on the state level, they're so overwhelmed with applications that even if the money's there, you know, it's 10 times as many organizations fighting and competing for it. So, yeah, so the financial situation, and I think it came up in some other meeting I was in, that a lot of opioid settlement groups or individuals, like if the health department's managing it in a town, you know, they're getting inquiries from a variety of other organizations, nonprofits as well as for-profits, because there's a level of we know other money is not available, so let's look at these opioid funds. So, yeah, the competition is unfortunately fierce. All right, any other thoughts or suggestions before we pick our next meeting date? Like, we can maybe follow up with Halo, look through stuff. I'll send out, if you don't have it, the application, I'll send that out. Take a look at, I'll send out the Attleboro stuff. Take a look at some of what they've done, because they are also in the process. They have programs by which, not exclusively just for post-overdose death, but for other things that individuals can apply for money. Even things, and somebody mentioned to me recently, you know, even thinking about things like scholarships and, you know, employment help and whatnot, you know, various ways that these trainings, right, exactly.
Vocational training. maybe.
Exactly, as trying to help people sustain their recovery. So lots of communities are looking at interesting ways to use the dollars.
All
right.
Sorry, Halo had
Okay.
talked about expanding in those sorts of
Directions,
as
yep.
well, so it's possible that if you guys start a program with them for family support, it could be grown into
Right.
like a larger entity as
Right.
well.
Right.
Do you want me to reach out to Brendan and ask him to come to the next meeting?
Ooh, good
What makes
question.
sense?
Yeah, what do we think makes sense? I was looking at, we've got the Patriots Day holiday coming up in April, so where we might normally meet on the 20th, I was looking at the 27th, which is the last Monday in April. What do folks think about having Halo come back and talk more, maybe give us an update on where they're at? Because like you said, it was months ago that we talked with them. That sounds
I
good.
think so.
Yeah.
Yeah,
If they can do it and they can join us virtually.
that's a really big piece of the puzzle.
Yeah, exactly. How they,
Having the
right,
financial administration.
right, how that would work
Mhm.
now that we're getting closer to really looking at how it's
Mhm.
gonna work. Yeah, I agree. Okay, so April 27th, does that work for folks?
Yep.
Yep.
All right.
I can't be here. I'll be away. I'll be out of the country.
Oh,
So,
okay.
yeah.
All right, it sounds like we might still have quorum if we have other folks. All right, so then let's go with that April 27th. And then Emma, thank you. If you want to reach out to Halo, if they can join us, be thinking about any other questions now that we're getting, I feel like we're honing in on it. So then more administrative questions might come. One other thing I would ask, maybe committee members and your colleagues and your coworkers and others, if you have a family or people that have had to deal with an overdose death, what would they also find really helpful? What kinds of financial support, maybe even in hindsight, maybe this happened, a while back, but in addition to some of what we've talked about, were there other things that might have been helpful to them, even some unexpected expenses maybe that, you don't think about or plan for? Anyway, just a thought, consult with folks and then we can add that to the conversation on the 27th. One last thing, it's a little bit early to be thinking about it, but remember, we all have to get reappointed in June
Yeah.
to the committee because it's an official town committee and nobody has to say anything now, maybe I'll just send out an email to everybody to be sure everybody knows. You didn't sign up for like a lifetime commitment. It's not like a Supreme Court appointment. So if for any reason, anybody, life circumstances have changed and you need to rotate off the committee, just let me know. You can do that privately, but remember that, as we get into the late spring, we all have to be reappointed and up our commitment to officially serve on the committee. Great. All right. We didn't do any really official motions today, but I'll entertain a motion to adjourn.
Okay.
So moved. Everybody in favor, seconded and moved? All right, adjourning about 11:10 on my watch, adjournment. All right. Thanks, everybody. Thank you, Lauren. See
Bye,
you
folks.
soon. All right, I'll stop the recording.